Hey everybody, it's the Cartoonkid back again with another fantastic fanfic idea. And today I'm bringing you my adventures with the mask. Now, before I begin, you're probably wondering why did I come up with this? Well, for two reasons. One, hmm, I'm pretty sure you already know, but since the release of that new Superman movie yesterday, I figured today would be a good idea to do, well, this. And two, well, considering the fact that Batman and did a crossover with the mask, I figured why not do something similar. No way, I'm not having one of Batman, not having one of Superman's villains wear the thing. It's just, well, I like the series of my adventures with Superman, and so I figured why not. Anywho, story. Young Lois Lane stumbled through the dense woods behind her childhood home in Smallville, tears streaming down her face after another argument with her distant father, General Sam Lane. Her foot caught on something buried beneath fallen leaves, an ancient wooden mask carved with intricate Norse runes. The moment her fingers touched its surface, whispers filled her mind in a language she didn't understand, yet somehow knew, was promising her power, confidence, and the ability to make people pay attention to her words. Meanwhile, miles away on the Kent farm, a teenage Clark Kent was discovering his own extraordinary heritage through the revelation of his Kryptonian origins and the emergence of his powers. The shy, gentle farm boy struggled with the weight of his destiny while watching his childhood friend Lois transformed from a quiet, overlooked girl into something magnetic and fearless, though he couldn't understand the unsettling green glow that sometimes emanated from her when she thought no one was looking. Years later, Clark Kent arrives in Metropolis as a mild-mannered reporter for the Daily Planet, secretly beginning his career as Superman to protect the city he's grown to love. His heart races whenever he sees Lois Lane, now an ambitious and brilliant investigative journalist whose reputation for getting impossible scoops has made her a rising star at the planet. What Clark doesn't realize is that Lois's fierce pursuit of dangerous stories isn't just driven by journalistic integrity. The mask has been whispering for her for years, feeding her confidence and pushing her forward, pushing her towards increasingly reckless behavior in pursuit of the truth. Jimmy Olsen completes their trio, his camera capturing both Superman's heroic deeds and the strange incidents that seem to follow Lois's biggest stories. The photographer notices things others miss, the way shadows seem to dance differently around Lois during the most dangerous investigations, and how sources who initially refused to talk to them suddenly become incredibly cooperative after she disappears briefly, returning with that particular gleam in her eye. Lois struggles with the match's growing influence over her personality. During quiet moments, she remains the compassionate, driven reporter Clark fell for, but when the mask takes hold, she becomes something else entirely, bold to the point of recklessness, with an almost manic energy and a smile that seems too wide. Her investigative methods become increasingly unorthodox, using the mask's reality-bending powers to extract information, infiltrate criminal organizations, and expose corruption in ways that border on vigilantism. Clark finds himself both torn between his growing feelings for Lois and his concern for the changes he observes in her behavior. As Superman, and he begins encountering situations where someone has already dealt with the criminals he's pursuing, always leaving them tied up in impossible knots and with calling cards featuring theatrical green signatures. The perpetrators the perpetrators methods are effective but chaotic, lacking Superman's precise moral compass. The duo faces Metropolis's emerging criminal underworld, with Lois's mask-enhanced investigations often uncovering the same threats that Superman confronts in his heroic identity. Lex Luthor becomes suspicious of both Superman's sudden appearance and Lois Lane's uncanny ability to uncover his schemes, leading him to investigate both figures. The, ma- the mask's chaotic energy interferes with Luthor's carefully laid plans, while Superman's moral certainty provides a stark contrast to the mask's unpredictable methods. Task Force X, led by Amanda Waller, takes notice of the supernatural occurrences surrounding certain Daily Planet stories. They begin tracking both Superman and the mysterious masked figure, unaware that Clark and Lois are hiding in plain sight. Waller's attempts to capture or control these new meta-humans human threats put both heroes and their civilian identities at risk. The arrival of Brainiac brings Clark face to face with his Kryptonian heritage and the destruction of his birth planet. The alien AI's cold, calculating intelligence contrasts sharply with both Superman's compassion and the mask's unpredictable chaos. Brainiac becomes fascinated by the mask's otherworldly properties, recognizing it as an artifact of cosmic significance that predates even Kryptonian civilization. Lois finds herself at the center of Brainiac's attention when the AI realizes the mask his true nature as a conduit for Loki's influence across dimensions. The Norse trickster the gods' chaotic energy provide proves to be one of the few forces that can disrupt Brainiac's perfectly ordered systems, making Lois both a valuable asset and a significant threat in the android's calculations. The arrival of Kara Zor-El, Supergirl, adds another layer of complexity to Clark's life. His Kryptonian cousin brings news of their family's history and helps him understand his place in the universe. Kara immediately senses something wrong with Lois, her Kryptonian abilities detecting the Max's supernatural influence in ways that Clark's emotional attachment prevents him from seeing clearly. The introduction of Supergirl will forces Lois to confront her growing dependence on the Max's power. Seeing Clark interact with someone who truly understands his alien heritage sorry, makes Lois feel more isolated and different, causing her to rely more heavily on the Max's whispers and promises of power. As the series progresses, the contrast between Clark and Lois's approaches to helping others becomes more prominent. Superman saves the day through strength, hope, and more clarity, while Lois's masked persona achieves results through cunning, chaos, and a willingness to bend rules that Superman would never break. The methods complement each other, but the mask's influence grows stronger with each use, threatening to consume Lois's original personality entirely. Jimmy serves as the emotional anchor for both his friends. His photographs documenting not just their public triumphs, but the private moments that reveal their true selves. His loyalty to both Clark and Lois puts him in the unique position of seeing how their secrets affect their relationship and their effectiveness as a team. The mask connection to Loki means that each time Lois uses its power, she opens small rifts between dimensions, allowing chaos magic to seep into Metropolis. These disturbances attract increasingly dangerous supernatural threats while also strengthening the mask's hold on her over her personality. Clark begins to notice the mask hold over her personality. Clark begins to notice that the Lois he loves seems to appear less frequently, replaced by someone who shares her memories but not her strength. The season builds towards a climactic confrontation where Superman, Supergirl, and Jimmy must work together to save Lois from the mask's complete control, while also protecting Metropolis from the convergence of threats that her connection to Loki has attracted. The question becomes not just whether they can save the city, but whether they can save Lois from Lois herself from the powers he's come to depend on, and whether the mask will allow itself to be separated from a host it has spent years grooming for its purpose. And yeah, like that, it's not even being cool to my best Superman. But that is my best attempt that a crossover between well, the Mask and My Adventures with Superman. But I digress. Yes. Anyway, this is pretty much all I got for right now, so please be sure to like, favorite, and subscribe if you kind of like this idea. And if you do like it, want to use it, maybe improve on it a little bit, all I simply ask is credit for the idea. Okay, bye.